Okay, hardcover books cost $3.50 more than paperback books. $198 was collected from selling 20 hardcover and 12 paperback books. Find how much each type of book cost. Okay, so we got 3 units, the hardcovers, the paperbacks, and then the money that it costs. So I go set up my table and I write together. Then your how many units per unit and total. Okay, so you got the hardcover and the paperback. Okay, so then the money total is $198. 198. Okay, that's a 198, not a 98. Okay, now how many units? Well, we got 20 hardcover and 12 paperback. Now that gives me a total of 32 because I add those together, but that's not an equation because there's no variable. Cross those out. Now, the only thing that tells me about cost per unit is a $3.50 more. So that's hardcover books. So that you got to put it in the right place. So plus, you can't put it here when it says hardcover costs more. So I call that X plus 350, and then that's X. Now, 2 things when I see that more than. I don't need Y, so no Y. And I also need just one equation to solve the problem. Okay. All right, now let's find these products. So 12 times X should be fairly easy. And then I put a parentheses around the expression X plus 3.50. It's going to be 20 times X plus 3.50. So 12 times X is 12X. Now I need to distribute the 20 to the 1X and then to the 3.50. So that's going to be 20X. Remember to distribute it to the 3.50. That's 70. So down here we're going to have 20X plus 70. And there's the one equation that I have. So 20X plus 70 plus 12X equals 198. Okay, so I combine the X's. That would combine into 32X plus the 70 equals 198. And then I undo the operations to the X. You got a times and a plus, so I would subtract 70. That gives me 128, so 32 times X equals 128. I divide by 32. And X equals 4. Okay, now what I do then is go into where my variables were at. So 4 is my paperback, and then 4 plus 3.50 is the hardcover. That's why you only need one equation. So 4 plus $3.50 is $7.50. That's your hardcover, and then just 4 would be your paperback. Okay, number 10, at a football game, student tickets cost $3 each, adult tickets cost $5 each. The school sold 700 tickets. They made a total of $3,078. How many adult tickets, how many student tickets were sold? Now, I'm not actually going to solve, just leave where I leave off. You don't have to finish the problem. I just want to set it up. The last one to set up was key. So you got together, okay. Then how many how many units per unit in total. So I've got adult tickets and student tickets. So adult and student. And then the money sign you put over total and per unit. Okay, so the money total is $3,078. Now, as far as how many, the only thing I see is 700. Now, it doesn't say more, it just says 700 tickets. So we assume that that's together, and then this is X and this is Y. So there's an equation there with 2 variables, X plus Y equals 700. Now I come down here. Cost per unit, $3 for the students, and then the adults is $5. So we take X times 5 and then Y times 3. So it's going to be 5X and 3Y. And then that forms another equation, so I've got two equations to work with. So I'm going to have x plus y equals 700. Then 5x plus 3y equals 3078. Now we want to use elimination because we don't have a base. Then you times 5 by 1 and everything. When you get your y, you just take 700 minus that. I'm not going to finish that problem. It's just setting it up. That's important. Okay, number 11. Angie and Kenny play online video games. Angie buys one software package and 3 months of gameplay. She pays a total of $65. Kenny buys one software package and 2 months of gameplay. He pays a total of $50. Find the cost of a single software package and the cost of a single month of gameplay. So let's set up my table because there's 3 units. So we have together how many units per unit and total. Okay. All right, so you got the software package and the months of gameplay. So SP and then MGP. That's how I'm going to abbreviate it. And then money over total, money per unit. Now the money total, there's two. There's 65 and 50. So we're going to have two equations down here. 65, my bad. And then 50. Okay, now there's a lot of units that tell us how many. So there's one software package and 3 months of gameplay, so 1 and 3. Then the other person has 1 along with 2. That's a 1 and a 2. So we add, we get 4 and 3. Now, we don't really know anything about the cost per unit, so I have this be X and this be Y. And then I take 1 times X and 1 times X. And then 3 times y and 2 times y. So that's 1x and 1x. So those are your products here. At least see. And 3y and 2y here. So I can see the two equations. Now I stack them. So 1x plus 3y equals 65. And then 1x plus 2y equals 50. You line your columns up, okay, and then you would actually have the same. You'd just go negative, 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 and you'd be able to solve for y. Now, in this problem, once you solve for y, there's nothing to just minus it from, so you have to put the answer into one of the two equations and then find your x. Don't finish that, okay. Number 12, how many ounces of a combination of 20% hydrochloric acid solution and 70% hydrochloric acid solution need to be mixed to obtain 20 ounces of a 50% hydrochloric acid solution? So before I make a table, I line up my percents above the problem. So you put your low, 20% of, then your high, because you're mixing those two together, and then the in-between percent is 50. It's not exactly in between. Okay, and then the only amount I have is 20 ounces. Well, that's with the 50%, and then X and Y. Now write those with decimals. So it's going to be 0.20 times X, 0.70 times Y, and then 0.50 times 20. Okay, now you can go to your table. Okay, you need to go to your table after that. We'll find those products here in a bit, and I don't need to label this table. It's just 0.20, 0.70, 0.50, and then the other factors that go with those are X, Y, and 20. Now I find my products, and that's your first equation right there. So that's just 0.20x. This should just be 0.70y. And then I can actually find 50% of 20. I just take 0.50, multiply by 20, and I get 10. Okay, and those are the two equations. We just got to stack them up. So x plus y equals 20. And then 0.20x plus 0.70y equals 10. Then you'd apply your columns. You'd have to multiply by 0.20 on top and 1 on bottom. Once I got my answer for y, I could just take 20 minus that answer to get the x. Okay, then ratio. Ratio of cats to dogs in the animal shelter is 5 to 2. There are 63 animals available for adoption. How many of them are cats? How many of them are dogs? Okay. All right, so ratio, you put your 5 over 2 and make sure you put label. It says cats to dogs. Then add those two, that's 7, that's your total. So this is the ratio column. This is the actual column. So the only actual amount I get is 63 animals. Well, that's got to be your total. Okay. So we're going to find the cats and dogs. We've got to put times dots, but we got to figure out what we're going to be timesing by. Well, 7 times what takes me to 63? Well, we could just take 63 divided by 7, and that's 9. So that's the number we times by. So 5 times 9 is 45, so it'll be 45 cats. And then 2 times 9 is 18, it'd be 18 dogs.